everyone, welcome to this episode of the Diversity Rocks podcast, brought to you by Orange Orchid. And our mission at Orange Orchid is that we are striving for everybody at work and in society to feel like they belong, and we also like to disrupt the system. I'm really excited today to be joined by Michelle Minnikin, who is an author, feminist, and all-round awesome human being. I've known Michelle for a couple of years now, and so I'm really pleased that we can have her on the podcast and talk all things Good Girl Deprogramming. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
So we always start off, Michelle, by tell us your origin story. So, what's brought you to where you are today?
Oh, honestly, I could stand up and give you like a day-long version of this, but I'm assuming you just want like maybe
Yeah,
five.
maybe just a small, like 5 minutes or so would be good.
I can talk. Communication is one of my top strengths. Um, so yes, I Dad was in the army, grew up in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. My whole thing when I was little was like, why do people do the things that they do? Why are these bad men wanting to kill me as a, 5-year-old? So, unsurprisingly, I was like very curious and asked a lot of questions, but that actually probably got beaten out of me quite a lot by school. I was the weird English kid in an Irish school. I have a scar on my head to prove that.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, I understand what it feels like to not be wanted amongst your classmates. So there was that kind of being English, but I was also quite weird. Didn't really know why. That is a little bit later in the story. Um, but yeah, grew up wanting to understand why humans did the things that they do. I did that whole sort of really interested in serial killers and cults and things, the sort of all of the weird stuff when I was a teenager, like you do. It's like, again, so of course I went to study psychology at university, then did a master's in organizational psychology because, we spend a lot of time. That's a lie. I was about to tell you a lie about why I studied occupational psychology. I wanted to be like Cracker. You know Cracker?
I used to love Cracker.
Yep. So Hagrid, Robbie
Yeah.
Coltrane. I had to go there. I was like, what's his name? It's not Hagrid. So he played this like forensic psychologist. So
Mm.
he worked with the police to catch, serial killers in the UK. I was at university studying psychology before I found out that wasn't actually a job.
Okay.
Police catch criminals. We don't have very many serial killers in the UK, thankfully. But at the time, it was a bit of, it was a bit of a sad moment for me. And then I was like, right, fine, I'm doing psychology now, so I'm on this path. What am I going to do with it?
Hmm.
And then I found out about organizational psychology. We
Ah,
spend all of our time in the workplace, too many years actually in work, doing work. And so I thought the biggest impact I could have would be, not catching serial killers. Forensic psychologists actually work with people in jail. So it's kind of like, well, you've already caught them now. It's boring.
okay.
Um, so I didn't go down that route. So I went down the occupational route. Loved my master's. It was brilliant. All of the different ways that we can impact people at work. First job, I was kind of blown away about how opposite everything was. So I was here naively knowing how to motivate people, how to get the best out of people, how to make sure that people feel like they're welcome and they belong and it's all inclusive. And I walked into organizations and thought, what the actual swear words is this? Yeah. So kind of just tried my entire career, got to 2016 and I couldn't try anymore. I asked for help, which was the first time in my life because I had been raised to be, independent and
Yeah.
be able to figure everything out on my own and to be, obviously nice and kind and care and share and do all of the things for all of the other people. And I made people pleasing my actual personality. My side personality was people rescuing. Um, got to 2016, I just couldn't. And my boss at the time agreed and sacked me.
Wow. And what roles were you doing there, Michelle? What sorts of roles? Were you in an HR role?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of it's like recruitment, L&D, HR. So I was like a recruitment manager for a tech company. And when she sacked me, she said, I was surprised that you weren't going to be more of a bitch.
Oh.
So I was like, well, what in my, entire personality and demeanor did you think that I would be, bearing in mind you gave me no authority, no power. I had to do everything by collaboration and consensus, and everything I suggested, everyone said no to. So it's like, how could I have been more of a bitch?
Mm.
Anyway, I was utterly burnt out and then went down the whole like I always wanted to work for myself. My first proper job was working in like an independent psychology practice. I quite enjoyed that. Apart from the fact that he made me do the books. Why did he make me do the books? Maths is not my favorite. Anyway, so 2016, I thought, bugger this for a bunch of bananas, I'm going to try it. And so I did started a very boring psychology practice, so helping organizations with their recruitment stuff to making
Hmm.
sure that they got the right people in the right jobs at the right time, all of that stuff. And if I could have a pound for every time somebody asked me, how do we get more resilient people in?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's the wrong question. What's wrong with this workplace that you need super resilient people? Um, so it's like resilience is only supposed to be a short-term thing, not a lifelong thing. No wonder we're all absolutely worn out.
Mm.
Anyway, so kind of did that for a bit, realized, oh, lots of things happened. Lots of things happened. Um, I I was then invited to a breakfast. International Women's Day 2020 was invited to a
Wow.
breakfast at the House of Lords. How fancy. And so I walked in the room and met this amazing woman called Anna Price, who taught us. It was literally, she wasn't one of the speakers or anything. She was just like, she had like a gang of people around it, like listening to her story around how she'd been recently diagnosed with ADHD and what that looked like for an entire life. And I was like, oh, light bulb, yes. And
Yeah.
also, I love you. Um, so yes, Anna and I became fast friends, and I was like going through the process with my son, and then it was like, ah, this is you too. So just before my 42nd birthday, I was diagnosed with ADHD,
And that's
which,
so common, isn't it? That women taking their kids through diagnosis and then having that realization, okay, I need this too. This is me as well.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, so the diagnosis came, and there was maybe like 20% relief, but 80% fury. I was absolutely furious. Just like, what could my life have looked like? I'd had like, really bad relationships, just, divorces, multiple, well, kind of. And just like my life felt to me like it was a bit of a mess, and I always blame myself for being rubbish and
Yeah.
broken
Hmm.
and not good enough. And compared to these people find admin really easy. Why does it take me 6 times longer than everybody else? All of that stuff. Um, and so women aren't allowed to be angry. So that scared the bejesus out of me. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so angry. Why? I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm clearly even more broken than I thought. So I took myself off for therapy and coaching with a wonderful woman called Karen Roundtree. And that kind of helped. I got to the point where I knew that was, who I was, what the ADHD stuff and how to quite kind of like manage with
Hmm.
that. But there was this whole big blob of people pleasing, conflict avoidant, deferring to authority, not being able to say no, perfectionism. I was like, well, what is this? This isn't ADHD. This isn't me. What is it? Um, and I just so happened to be on a call with a lovely lady called Tara Moore, who wrote a book
Hmm.
called Playing Big. And she wasn't even talking to me, she was talking to somebody else. Bearing in mind at this point, I had read her book maybe, 5 or 6 times. I was being trained in her techniques. I was going to do like an exam on her work. So I was like, yeah. And she just off the cuff said, oh, that'd just be a good girl conditioning to some other woman. And that was like light bulb number two. I was like, yep, that's it. That is it. This is what I have. Went back later and looked at her book. She mentioned it like half a dozen times in her book.
Just needed you to hear her say
But
it
I was
in
like,
that moment.
clearly
Yeah.
hadn't gone in. So at that point, I'd met another, it's like all the women, isn't it? It's a theme. At that point, I'd met one of the loves of my life, Elizabeth Lemke, who was running a L&D conference online. So this is all during the pandemic. And I was, harping on about this good girl conditioning thing. It's like, oh, that's all I wanted to talk about because this is like amazing information that I just found out. And she's like, yeah, let's do a talk on good girl conditioning. And of course, you'll tell us why and how we're conditioned. And I was like, oh, I haven't figured that bit out yet. But yes, of course I will. Say yes and then sort of try and, figure it
Work
out.
it out later.
So going back to my interest in the cults as a teenager, I was like, well, good girl conditioning, it's like brainwashing, isn't it? And like the cult is kind of like the patriarchy, isn't it? So I was like, oh, right, okay. So I went down that route. I don't know how I came across it, but I found this chap called Albert Biderman, who was a social scientist in the 1950s in America, who was tasked with figuring out why so many American prisoners of war were defecting to China. They're being released and then going to China, and this is like all the kind of communism hysteria in America. It was like, oh, what am I going to do? Everyone's going to be communist, and it's going to be the end of the world. And so the US military thought that the Chinese had a magical mystery brainwashing machine.
Mm-hmm.
Biderman and his team found out that they didn't. They just had various techniques of coercion, coercive control that they used systematically to brainwash, remove the entire personalities and belief system of these poor prisoners and brainwash them with what they wanted them to believe. So as soon as they were released, they defected to China. So I was reading this and I was like, I wonder if this would explain how we are kept behaving. We are kept as being good girls by society. And I went from like within half an hour, curious to horrified
Oh.
because I could map every single one of these tools of coercion onto things that society do to women and girls. And I was like, oh, I know it now. So I need to tell people. So I did the talk, went down really well. And then the idea wouldn't go away. So I wrote a book, which came out in 2023.
Like you do. Well, like you do.
Yeah. And I've just been harping on about it ever since.
Yeah. So tell us, what is good girl conditioning then?
So it's societal, it's generational, it's baked into, oh, you're gonna be a girl, isn't she gonna be so pretty and nice and kind and pink? So yeah, it's all the ways that we are taught to basically put everybody else before ourselves
Mm-hmm.
because capitalism does not function without the unpaid, undervalued labor, emotional, physical, of women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's all the ways we're told to sit down, shut up, be nice, be perfect, be young. God forbid you age.
Be
Oh, that's
thin.
terrible. Be thin, because oh, God forbid you have a body.
Yeah. Be
Um,
tall. That one
yeah,
always puzzled me.
yeah, it's like oh, like literally can't do anything about that. In my little
Yes.
5'3.5", the half is very important. But yeah, it's just all the ways that we are policed by everyone, by our parents, by schools, by grandparents, by society, by media, just to just have no self-esteem and just do everything other people want us to do and be good wife and mother and partner and colleague and neighbor and friend and just exhausting and not actually know what we want or who
Hmm.
we even are.
Yeah.
So my
And,
mission is to help people discover who they actually are.
yeah. And how do we get to that place, Michelle? Because this is one of my things is about disrupting the system is,
Mm,
we've spent far too long trying to mold people to fit in to a system that doesn't work for them. But I'm a big believer that nobody gets up in the morning and thinks, right, I'm going to create a really difficult environment for women or for, whatever it might be. So how do we get to the place? Do we just sleepwalk into it? Or, how have we got to a point where all these things are in place, the coercive control, the expectations? Because there's obviously a point now, well, a point for you where you've gone, hang on, I know what's going on here. Let's try and unravel this. But how have we got
Mm.
there in the first place? If we agree with the assumption that people get up in the morning generally to be a nice human being, not to be mean to other people or, half the population or
Yeah. So you're asking me why we've got
yeah.
patriarchy.
Yes,
I
yes. If
have,
you
I
could
do
just
have
cover
a
that
theory,
in,
surprisingly.
can you do that in 5 minutes?
Yeah. So, um, back in back in the olden days, pre the Greeks and the Romans, and um, when we were living in the olden days before Christ, so much has been found around how the world worshipped the goddess, how Mother Earth, the creatrix, all of this, all of the women and women were in power. And I honestly believe that patriarchy was an overcorrection instead of a balancing, an
Okay.
overcorrection to when men felt like they were the second sex, to use Simone de Beauvoir's term. And so at that time, you saw all of the laws start to change because there was a lot of societies in the in the Middle East, the Far East,
Mm,
North Africa that had sort of matrilineal inheritance because of reasons. And the society started to change, the religion started to change to be like God is a man, submit to the only people that could actually talk to God being you
mhm.
know, the religious leaders. How do I like lump all of them into one?
Yeah.
Um, and that's when you saw the law start to change around the patriarchy. Because interestingly, even now, in countries that don't have as many rights for women as we do in the Western world, the coercive control is not needed because there's actual control.
Because
You're only
it's
allowed to look
yeah,
out.
because it's law,
Yeah. So yeah, women
not
aren't allowed
law.
to leave the house. They're only allowed to look out of one eye. You're not allowed to hear them speak. Let's just look
Mm,
at taking this to the extreme, which is Afghanistan.
hmm
And so why would so my again, why do people do the things they do? Traumatized by the IRA growing up. If women were naturally submissive, if women were naturally the second sex instead of an equal human, why would so much effort and energy and attention be put on trying to keep us there?
hmm
So
Yeah.
yes, I think the patriarchy is an overcorrection to fear of women's power.
Well done. I think that literally was like 6 minutes. Boom. So how are you helping us unravel that?
It's not all my, you
It's
know
all
what?
you. It's all on you,
Yeah, it's
Michelle.
like shit, the whole world is because it's like I'm here to fix it. I'm not. I can't. So obviously I have my programs.
hmm
My mission, my long-term mission is to wake up enough women that an avalanche, tsunami, whatever, one of Mother Nature's ways of like
Yeah.
waking people up, of enlightened women. And because it's not, we want women to be in charge because that would be bad too. We want equal, it's like
hmm
equity. We want the same rights and privileges and, representation
hmm
as men enjoy.
hmm
So yes, it's all about waking women up, and also, men and women created the mess we're in now because patriarchy harms everyone. It's like, oh well, patriarchy, some people benefit. Well, yeah, some people benefit, but even little Mark Zuckerberg, bless his cotton socks, has been whinging about like organizations have too much feminine energy in them and we have to
Yeah.
masculinitize or whatever we said them. It's like so even he's feeling the choke of patriarchy. And don't even get me started on Elon Musk. Um, so it's like who wins in this system? Nobody.
No.
So book number one was Good Girl. Book number two is Girls Edition. So that's for 10 to 14-year-olds. So that should be out before Christmas. And then book number three will be around the men because they're conditioned to behave in certain ways. You know, there is some nature and nurture, but our brains as men and women are very similar. They are more similar than they are different. We're
That's
not entirely
interesting.
different species. We're not from Venus or Mars. We're from
Hmm.
Earth. Um, and there's more that unites us than divides us. So we need to get everybody working together because everything harms us all.
Hmm. And how, just on that point then, so I speak to a lot of people who are now pushing back against women-only programs, for example, and saying, well, this is exclusionary, this is creating a barrier between men and women with all the focus on how can we empower women, for example. What's made you to think for book number three, let's focus on the men, let's help the men become part of the solution rather than
Mhm.
pushing to them to one side?
Well, that's again, that doesn't serve humanity,
Mm,
and I was like very, the beauty that I'm allowed to change my mind. I was very adamant that this was not my book to write.
hmm.
And it felt like, oh, I just have to do the emotional labor for the men, and it's like
Yeah.
so not fair. Um, but I kind of it's been really interesting because I was kind of deep in the world of women when I was researching the book. It took me 2 years to write, and you know, I just feel that they are being harmed too,
Hmm.
and their harm causes us significant harm
Hmm.
in terms of, domestic violence, the weaponization of sexual assault, just and they're not happy. Male suicide, male loneliness, all of this stuff. And instead of understanding why, they're blaming the women. And I see
Hmm.
this all the time. It's like, oh, I feel downtrodden because the women are getting the things. It's like, well, women are needing the things to get to the same starting line as you. And if you
Yeah.
say meritocracy with me, I'm going to hit you a great big huge fish because there's no such thing as meritocracy. You know, you know that's the work that you do. And it's harming us all. You're all sad and angry. We're all sad and angry. Why can't we just work together and like figure this out? Because humans
Yeah.
made this mess. Humans can unmake this mess.
And do you see, I worry a lot about what's going on social media, particularly
Mm.
with certain role models that young men are looking up to, toxic masculinity, the extremes that they're perhaps now being pulled towards or pushed
Yeah.
towards. I don't know.
Yeah,
What's
it's
your
just
view on that? Is it as mainstream or is it just sensationalized because that's what the news and social media does these days?
so drama triangle. We all feel worse off than our parents and grandparents did.
Yeah.
So, all of our granddad's era, all they had to really do is have a job and they'd get a wife. It's like that kind of level of poverty that women weren't really able to have, professions because they weren't really allowed to go to university and all of this stuff. So entitlement to a wife, um, and entitlement to I'm a man working in a working class job and I can afford a house and a wife and a family and they don't need to work. So it's like that level of, this whole make America great again. It harps to a time where everything was significantly cheaper and one person's wage could run a household.
Yeah.
But because of, I'm going to say it, billionaires stealing all of our money, everybody feels worse off. And instead of blaming the billionaires have created this perfect PR campaign saying it's the immigrants.
Hmm.
So, yeah, so it's that. It's like kind of, it's not your fault. It is the fault of the women or the immigrants or the people of color or, you know, Ukraine being invaded. It's always somebody else's fault. And
Yeah.
the billionaires control the media, they control the politicians, they control all of the things we see. And then obviously, so we're feeling like we're the victims of, all of those things that have happened, and not to mention Liz Truss. And and we're sort of, sitting here feeling a bit victimy and not wanting to take any kind of responsibility for our own lives. And it's easier when somebody says, "Oh, sweetheart, it's not your fault. It's all of the women. It's the
Hmm.
feminism. It's the boat people. It's the immigrants. They're stealing all of our jobs." I'm like, "Well, are you a doctor?" You know. And so it's such an easy place to be in. And then we've
Yeah.
got the likes of, and I can't say this with a straight face, like Nigel Farage,
Hmm.
who is being painted by these billionaires and is being funded by these billionaires. This MP who makes over £1 million a year.
Yeah.
He's the most best paid MP, right? He's coming to save us. I was like, are you kidding me? He's talking about, oh, violence against women and girls because all of these immigrants are raping all of the women. It's like, no, that is not true. And all of your politicians are voting against um any kind of bill that will actually alleviate or solve or, but it's majority people that sexually assault women are known to the women,
Hmm.
and it happens in their homes, and it's not the brown people, it's mostly the white people.
Hmm.
Anyway, so they're getting all of this, like, it's not your fault, you're just a poor boy, nobody loves me, that kind of level
Hmm.
of ridiculousness, and then these people are going to rescue us. And this is what you see, Trump and, you know, all the other ones. There's like strong men. And that's what happens in the vacuum of actual leadership and saying, everything's a bit shit. This
Hmm.
is what we can do about it. Then these lone voices attract these people that are feeling hard done by.
It becomes a popularity contest
Hmm.
rather than a sensible discussion or a
Hmm.
debate
Yeah.
or a problem solving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
All right.
where do
I'm
we
on the
start?
right one this morning, aren't
I
I?
know, right? And we went off on a lovely little tangent there. So what do we do then? How do I guess as with most things, the first point is understanding where you are as an individual. I know you have your quizzes, your online quizzes, which I adore, and every time it gets updated, there's a new one. I'm like, oh, I'm going to fill this in. Is
There's
that the
so many
starting
quizzes.
point for people? Kind of how do we f first kind of think, right, well, where am I at and what do I do about it?
I think we always have to start with ourselves
Hmm.
and examining again where we're not being true to ourselves. So yes, I do have a quiz making, I would say addiction at this point. I need to create some kind of quiz makers anonymous program because I'm like, oh yes, I need to have the model. I need to have the man's quiz now, of course. But yes, I'm not allowed to do any of that until my program starts.
Hmm.
Um, because that'll just like split my focus. But yeah, start with yourself, understanding, where it comes from. So I do have so I, one of my chapters in my book is all around strategic exhaustion. So all of the different ways that women are kept tired on purpose, because if we're tired and we're busy doing ironing and, and all of the emotional labor and all of the other stuff for all of the other people, we don't have time to rebel.
Hmm.
We sleep less, we do more work. Um, And, even at work, we do more work because we feel like we have to be more perfect than everybody else. So
Hmm.
it's like we are exhausted. So I created the first quiz, the gateway quiz, we'll call it, to help women when faced with a book with 84,000 words, because I like to talk, as you probably can guess by now, which bits of the book would be useful for them to read and which
Hmm.
bits have they already got it. So the quiz was designed to say, read these chapters.
Start here.
Yeah. Nobody listened to me, everyone just read the whole thing. So, but yes.
Guilty as charged. I just went
Yeah.
start to finish, um, and now I have to say it's the most gifted book ever in my. I'm like every time I speak to, I haven't yet given it as a gift to a man, but I will make that my challenge over
Men have been reading it. It's
during
been,
September. But it's like I start talking to people. I'm like, you need this book, and then I'm on Amazon. Oh, why am I on Amazon? But I'm on Amazon,
I
and I'm
know.
sending them a copy in the post, and they're going, "Oh wow, thank you." And then I'm like, "And do this quiz as well."
Do this quiz, read this book, or we'll hit you with it. Um, yeah. I have loved some of the men's comments around it's a book that doesn't center men.
Hmm.
So it's all about women's experience, and it's not slagging off the men because
No,
again, the men are harmed too.
but it's not
And
telling their story either, and I guess that's intentional on your part,
yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like yes, so I've got a whole page full of names that I'm gonna interview people for book number two, three, book number three.
Really.
You'll be with my little trilogy.
And so tell us more about book two then and how that topic came around. I guess you're going from let's talk to professional women, I guess, in most
Yeah.
instances, perhaps stay-at-home mums or, but adult women. And then are you going, right, the root of this needs to start changing earlier? Is that the
Yeah.
concept behind it?
I think quite a few people had asked me, how do I stop passing this good girl stuff on to my kids?
Yeah.
And so I've teamed up with an amazing former teacher Caroline Bomer, who runs a tutoring business now. And it's all about, it's the output is better grades, but
Hmm.
the input is mindset.
Yeah.
So we got together and we were like, right, we need to sort of almost translate this into that age before the peer pressure stuff happens.
Hmm.
So it was designed for like 10 to 14-year-olds, but other people, other ages, it's not, there's nothing in it that's particularly like, shocking for younger kids or babyish for older kids as well. So we've tried to make it as accessible as possible. But what we've done is created a guide for the parent as well.
That was going to be my question. So the book is aimed at the 10 to 14-year-old, and then there'll be a guide that says, if you're the parent of the 10 to 14-year-old, here's what you can do.
Yeah. And it's kind of designed for them to read it together
Yeah.
and have those conversations because one of the key ways that society keeps women and girls behaving is around this divide and conquer, this isolation. There's nothing that society hates more than women gathering.
Mm.
Um, as I found out when I had my circle and somebody came and porn bombed us because that's
Oh,
fun times.
yes.
Anyway, but yes, and we don't do this alone. We have to do this together. There's
Together.
so many, as soon as you take women out of the community and isolate them in houses, going
Hmm.
back to the Taliban who aren't allowed to actually go outside,
Hmm.
they're never going to get sunlight on their faces. Um, it's all about being able to have these conversations. So it's currently out with like test readers at the moment,
Yeah.
and all the feedback is coming back, and so there are some little tweaks to make, which is fine. We're expecting that. I think we didn't go over social media enough as one of the key things.
Yeah, which
Um,
of course is such a big part of youngsters' lives.
Yeah, and it's like how to keep yourself safe. And
Safe.
again, we don't center boys. We did so basically instead of book number one, the chapters are all around the tools of coercion. And
Hmm.
I thought it's a bit much for 10-year-olds. So we've done instead the sort of the symptoms. So I have a good girl at work quiz that looks more at the symptoms of the coercion rather than the tools. So we used that as the chapters. So the kind of, a bit around sort of like women, girls not liking girls and
Hmm.
bits around self-esteem, perfectionist, the should mon we talk about the should monster.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, we're getting a 19-year-old artiste to
Okay.
illustrate it. And so, like what you did with your cards.
Yes, I did.
Um, so yeah, we're just amongst all the other thousands of things we're doing, trying to get that out before Christmas.
Excellent. Very exciting. Very exciting. What else do you need to tell us, Michelle? Because I know, so I came on one of your sessions recently and we've moved on from Rebel Woman. So that's a little tease into you got to read the book to know what Rebel Woman means. The new quiz, I think I was a sovereign.
You Your
Yeah.
queen.
Um, how's your thinking evolved from even just writing and publishing Good Girl Deprogramming?
Yeah,
What's next?
I felt that I was in my, so yes, I've called them my 5 eras,
Eras, yeah.
based on like completely based on kind of my journey through this stuff. But it's also loosely based on the trans-theoretical model of change by Procrasco and De Clementi. But it's fine.
Okay.
We don't need to. We
Go
didn't. We
look that
don't.
up. I feel like that needs a hyperlink somewhere.
It's what the NHS used to stop people smoking. Anyway, um, so yes, it's moving people through those stages. So I found it was really interesting. So first I was completely oblivious for like 39 years, and then I got to this awakening phase. So I was kind of started noticing all of the things, and then got my ADHD diagnosis, and that kind of blew my eyes wide open. The book kind of made me into a rebel, and that's that kind of anger out. So disrupting
Mm.
everything, changing everything. So a very cute dog just walked past, so that was me like, oh, this cute doggy. Um, and then you kind of sort of bring that power back in.
Yeah,
So that sovereign is like you've kind of gone through that like angry with the world energy, and you're just like, okay, so now we have to do something about it. And it's like
yeah.
kind of ours to do something with.
But the anger
Um,
helps sometimes, right?
oh, yeah. Somebody tells me I can't do something. I'm like, hold my Toblerone. Actually, no, give me the Toblerone back. It's
Yeah.
fine.
No, 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 not for long. Yeah, give it. Don't take my chocolate.
No, no, or the rebel will come out.
Yes.
So yeah, and then the sort of I would say like the current final stage, because we don't
Hmm.
know, is unfuckwithable, and that's not that is not I'm the boss of you, angry, you can't do anything to me type of thing.
Hmm.
It's all around being so grounded in yourself and your knowing and your values and your beliefs that are
Hmm.
yours, not the ones that society gave you.
Hmm.
That nobody can knock you off your knowing, your being.
Yeah. And I think that's a nirvana place, really, for many
Mm.
people. As we were talking, the one thing that I think is really important is actually it's still okay. What we're not saying here is that every woman has to be the next CEO of a big company. And actually, if you're really happy staying at home, looking after the kids, doing the housework and the ironing, if that's your life and you're happy doing that, that's okay too. What we're not saying is every woman needs to be like this
No,
and never
we're
do
not.
any
We're not
housework
replacing.
and
We're
yeah,
not replacing good girl stuff with what Michelle and Liz thinks you should
no,
be.
no,
So it's all around becoming the themest them they can possibly
yeah,
be. rather than having all of these unwanted layers of
Hmm.
baggage around how we should be and behave and want and, you know, no.
Yeah. So it's knowing who you are, what you want to be, and then doing it and being happy most of the time, I guess.
Yeah.
Most of the time, yeah. Brilliant. We could go on forever, Michelle, I know, but let's we'll when your next two books are out, well, I'll have you back on and we'll put the world to rights on those. I always finish with we were talking earlier about disrupting the system. Um, what would your advice be to listeners, to people watching this, in terms of what can we all do to do our little bit to disrupt the system, to change it?
Hmm. I it's like it's about 40 things just dropped into my head at once, but
Okay,
I
go
would
for it. Go,
say
go, go.
the most important thing is community.
Hmm.
Having don't try this, don't try this alone.
Yeah.
Have the people around you that are going to support you in this and challenge you.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the thing that hurts me the most is women, woman on woman hate.
Hmm.
This internalized misogyny. It breaks my heart because we've been taught to hate women.
Yeah.
So not falling for that bit, I think.
Well, thank you. It's been amazing as ever. You're an absolute superstar. Good luck with the new book. I'll share on the socials as soon as we've got some links and more information on it. And thanks for your time today. It's been a
Yeah, it's
pleasure.
been lush. It went really quickly.
I know. Speak to you soon, Michelle.
Bye.
Bye bye.